Hey y'all, it's your girl Missniecytv, and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 7, Episode 13. The episode picks up where it left off with Andy, Jordan, and Gary stay at the precinct and everybody's arguing, and Gary's trying to act like he's a great fiance that's looking for his pregnant fiance. Gary's like, according to her phone records, Andy was the last person she talked to, and Andy's like, you're gonna sit here and drag me in your lies? Gary's like, if I were you, Jordan, I'd be asking the same question, seeing that this is your sister that we're talking about. Jordan pulled a Will Smith and he was like, keep my sister's name out your mouth. We see this guy walk up and he's like, ma'am, come with me. And Andy's like, are you asking me or are you telling me? And then Jordan's like, I will come with you. The guy is like, she needs to go by herself. And Andy's like, look, Jordan, I will give you all the updates when I can. You don't need to come with me because we don't need another scan. Jordan's like, I don't care about none of that. My sister's missing and I want to. Andy winds up going into the room and the first thing that the detective asks is, when the last time you seen Penelope Williams? And Andy's like, I can assure you that you had the wrong person. The detective is like, I can assure you that I have the right person. The detective is like, so you don't remember me? Andy's like, who are you? He's like, I was the one that got all that stuff out of your apartment when we were trying to get that case against Gary. He's like, oh, I remember now. Detective Watts. He's like, no, it's actually Special Agent Watts now. Special Agent Watts is basically like, I'm gonna need you to testify against Gary and talk about all his illegal dealings. And Andy's hesitant to do it, but then he's like, I know that Gary bought that Rolls Royce at the penthouse with illegal funds and it's in your name now. So you would technically have an attachment to it. So if you don't do this, they're gonna come after you. Detective White also tells her if she helps him, they'll help her with finding Penelope and they'll give her FBI resources still. Outside of the police precinct, Gary's having a conversation with Hudson and he's like, I'm glad we got here first because Andy was in there with that Jordan clown and they have no idea who they're messing with. Hudson's like, so are we good? Gary's like, yeah, they have no clue. He's like, I still need you to do what we talked about. Hudson's like, it's already done. Hudson's like, I still think she's gonna be a problem. And Gary's like, if she does, I'm gonna make sure she regrets. But little do they know the whole time that they're having this conversation, Jordan's watching them. And I'm like, Jordan, what are you gonna do with this information? I hope you recorded it. Knowing you probably didn't. Over at Zach and Fatima are having a conversation about the babies and how unlikely it is that Karen has two baby daddies instead of. Zach is telling Fatima how he wants to talk to Karen about setting up a trust fund for baby girl. And Fatima's like, baby girl? He's like, yeah, I think it's gonna be a girl. Fatima's like, well, you need to talk to Aaron. And Zach is like, what do I need to talk to Aaron for? Fatima's like, co-parenting. Zach is like, what exactly are we co-parenting? His baby's his and my baby's mine. Fatima's like, it don't work like that, especially after hearing this news, so technically you have 3 kids instead of 1. Fatima, I'm sorry to tell you this, but that other twin is not Zach's responsibility. He only has 2 kids, and that's Michael and the other twin. He doesn't have to do for that other twin if he doesn't want to. Then we see Karen at the salon and she does wind up getting a call from Zach because Zach calls her and tells her that he wants to set up a trust fund for the baby, and Karen's like, my babies are not going to be raised separately. And I'm like, Karen, if they have 2 different fathers, yes, they will be raised separately. You can't force that man to do something for another baby, doesn't it? He's like, look, I don't want to step over nobody's toes. Karen's like, you won't be stepping over mine. Karen's like, who put you up to say this, Fatima or Danny? And what Cardi B saying on that Go Over the song? She's like, I got condos in that B. At the law firm, we see Fatima and Andy having a conversation in Andy's office after Fatima comes to drop off some files for her. Andy's like, what's wrong with you? You look like you have a lot on your mind. And Fatima's like, yeah, I do. I don't know how to tell you this, and I don't think it's my place. But we got the DNA test results. Andy's like, well, is Zach the father? Fatima's like, I don't think it's my place to tell you this, but Zach is the father of one and not the other twin. Andy's like, how is that even possible? And Fatima gives her the technical term, and Andy's like, look, I ain't even got enough time to comprehend that. Right now, I got a lot on my mind. Andy starts telling Fatima how she went down to the police precinct with Jordan to file a missing persons report for Penelope, and Gary was there. Gary causing a scene and how she was confronted by the detective and how the detective, who is a special agent, wants her to testify against Gary. And Fatima's like, who's to say that they won't come after you? Andy's like, they won't. They don't want me. They want Gary. Fatima's like, you better think long and hard about doing this. And Andy's like, well, they say that they will help me find Penelope. Fatima's like, that's what they all say. They will dangle something in front of you that they know that you want just so that they could come after you. Andy's like, how do you even know a lot about FBI cases? Fatima's like, my family? Andy's like, yeah, you're right. Over at the bank, Maurice and Carrie are swapping insults and jokes behind the teller window in front of a customer named Miss Mabel. And Miss Mabel is laughing because she always finds Maurice funny. After Miss Mabel leaves, Maurice is doing her trick and Carrie's looking over her shoulder and Maurice is like, what are you doing? Carrie's like, I'm just trying to make sure you don't steal that old lady's money. And Maurice is like, I would never do that. Maurice has already peeped Carrie's game though. She wants him to do something to her so that she could go report it. And Maurice is like, before you could ever report me, I'm gonna go report myself. Then we see Maurice go into Sabrina's office and that's where he sees her trying to give herself the injection, so he does it for her. I'm like, Sabrina, why do you always have to do that in the office? Why can't you just go to your bathroom? I know you got a personal bathroom. Maurice is like, so what are you doing this for anyway? Sabrina's like, I'm trying to save my eggs and embryos. Maurice winds up calling Sabrina Key White, and I thought that was hilarious. Sabrina's like, so what are you in here for anyway? Lisa's like, if you don't fire her, she's gonna wind up hurt. Sabrina's like, you can't assault her, that's not good. Back over at the salon, Pam and Karen are having a conversation about Roots to Riches, and this is when Aaron walks in, and Pam is like, ain't it my favorite investor? Karen's like, what? Your investor? Pam is like, yeah, he called me one day and wanted to invest in the company, so I said, yeah. Karen is like, y'all made this decision on your own and didn't decide to talk to me about it? They don't have to talk to you about it. Once Pam leaves, Aaron and Karen have a conversation, and Karen lets Aaron know that Zach has been stressing her out about having a trust fund for his baby and half of the belly, and Karen's like, you need to call before showing up to my new salon. And Aaron tries to touch her belly, and he's like, how's my baby doing? And she's like, be quiet, I haven't told about it yet. And Aaron's like, I think you should, it would be a lot easier on you. And Karen's like, I will when I'm ready. Aaron lets Karen know that he will have a conversation with Zach, and Karen's like, you sure? Because every time y'all have a conversation, y'all need a referee out. Aaron's like, it's different. Jordan's sitting outside of some building watching Hudson have a conversation with some lady, and that's when he rolls up on the lady and he touches her. Jordan's like, Penelope? She's like, no, then don't touch me. He's like, my bad, I thought you were somebody else. She's like, aren't you that councilman guy named Jordan Williams? I see you on TV. He's like, no, I actually get that a lot, but my name is Raymond. I'm here for an interview with the guy you were just talking to. She's like, Hudson? He's like, yeah. Jordan's like, what about his friend? I forget his name. She's like, Gary? He's like, yeah. She's like, he's a jerk, but let's walk and talk. And I wonder what she said. Back over at the salon, Pam and Karen are having a conversation, and this is when Pam tells Karen that Aaron is her investor and how it all started. Karen tells Pam that he's just doing it so that he could stay connected to her, which might be true, but at the same time, Karen, I've never heard you tell Pam that you're proud of her and give her congratulations on her business. At the basketball court, we see Aaron approach Zach, and Zach is like, why are you stalking me? Everywhere I go, you seem to follow me. We can't share everything. We share the same room at this point. Aaron's like, look, I'm just here to talk to you about the twins, and I will be willing to step up and take care of both of them if you are. Because I know how hard it is raising one child. And Zach is like, don't talk about me and my child. Don't you got kids at home? And this is when we learn that Aaron's kids are in the custody of their grandmother. And Zach is like, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't. Zach is like, why are you even trying to talk to me anyway? Why are you trying to pull this knight in shining armor act when Karen doesn't even want you to save her? Zach is like, stop trying to act like the good guy. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Back over at the salon, Karen and Pam are about to close up, and that's when Trey walks in, and she's like, what are you doing here? Trey is like, I'm here to check the cameras, and Karen's like, in your regular clothes? Trey is like, somebody had to see the drip. He's like, I'm actually here to ask you out. Karen tells him respectfully that she can't go out with him and because she is dealing with a lot, and Trey's like, okay, I respect it. Trey is like, I'm not gonna come around and act weird. Karen's like, I hope not. Over at Danny's, Danny and Sabrina are having a conversation, and Danny's like, I have something to tell you, and Sabrina's like, what you gotta tell me? Danny's like, I can't really tell you because if I tell you, I won't be a good friend, and I'm trying to be a good friend. Sabrina's like, what do you gotta do it? Danny's like, it has to do with Karen. She's like, is the babies okay? Danny's like, it actually has to do with the babies. Danny's like, since I can't outright tell you, we're gonna play a little game. Sabrina's like, I'm not good at games. Danny's like, okay, and they start playing a game, and she starts guessing till it gets to the baby part, and she's like, and then she figures out Danny's holding a baby, and she puts up 2. And Sabrina's like, 2 baby daddies? And Danny's like, yeah. Sabrina's like, so you're trying to tell me that Karen has 2 baby daddies? Danny's like, yes, that's what I've been trying to tell you this whole time. As they're talking, Danny hears a knock on her door, and she's like, who's that? And then it's Tony. And Tony's just standing there, and Sabrina's like, I gotta go, Danny. Danny's like, okay. Tony comes in all hostile, and then he pulls out the pink handcuffs in his pocket, and he's like, tell me how my child got these. Danny's like, I don't know. She was in my stuff. She asked me about them, and I told her to ask you. And he's like, so you told an 11-year-old to ask me about a sex game? And then Tony's like, you were supposed to be responsible. You were supposed to be watching my kids. And Danny was like, I was watching. Tony was like, I thought you would be more responsible than this. And Danny was like, I was being responsible. Actually, Tony, you can get it out. Tony, you can't necessarily blame Danny for the way your kids act in other people's houses. You should tell them how to act when they go to other people's houses. Tony was like, what I gotta get out for? Danny was like, you don't understand. I did the favor and you're trying to sit here and play me. And Danny's like, to be honest with you, you and your kids were already in here by the time I got home, so I didn't have time to prepare for them. And you don't even understand the magnitude of the situation. So you gotta get out. Over at Zach and Fatima's cooking dinner for Zach, and Zach comes home from the basketball. Zach tells her about what happened with Aaron and the conversation that they had and how it turned out. And Zach is like, Aaron is definitely a trigger for me. And then Fatima tells Zach about what happened with Gary and his money and how Zach can't get his money back because of the terms that they made it with the investment. And Zach is like, Gary's gonna get something bad done to him, and he starts smiling. And Zach is like, I don't wish you would call your cousin and have her do something bad to him. And Fatima's like, don't worry about it. because I already did. And Zach is like, this is why I love you. You ride so hard. We see Jordan and he's sitting there on the phone talking to Andy, and he's like in a dark alley. And I'm like, Jordan, if you don't move or turn somewhere, you can see the street because you don't know who could be coming up behind you. And that's exactly what happened as he's talking to Andy. Gary pulls up to Jordan's car and gets in the back seat, and he's like, is that my being on the phone? And Andy's like, Jordan, are you okay? Jordan, this is exactly why you don't sit nowhere in the dark at nighttime, especially when you know there's a crazy person after you and your family. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Bye!